I think what's more valuable than even watching tutorials is being on set, sort of getting an experience of what the cinematographer is saying to the director and what the director is saying to the actors and what's the producer doing. And so rather than doing a sort of breakdown tutorial of what it takes to make a film, I thought I'd give you sort of an inside glimpse of our experience making our short film, Clementine. With a cast and crew of 13 people, a budget of $8,000, we shot the most ambitious science fiction film I've ever created.
Shot one, take two.
Telling you to do stuff with it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is in my world.
Here we are doing these gimbal shots down a hallway, and I know you're probably looking at this being like, Zach, you had like an RE camera. Why are you shooting this on your Sony a7S? The reason why was because we couldn't fit, obviously, the RE on a gimbal, and filming this sequence with a nice, smooth tracking shot came at high benefit to the final product. And really, you can't tell the difference between camera quality. I made a whole video about this, which you can see on my channel.
Very menacing.
So we always have my a7S III on a gimbal, and then we had the RE sort of on sticks or on the slider. That way we can navigate between the two cameras and not sacrifice time, which was the key asset of making this film. Great, cut. That was it. Awesome. Nailed it.
Do that real quick.
Okay.
All right, so Dave, we're throwing up a couple of tubes, so let's run through what shots are happening here. Oh, like you can get your second pull from there.
I think so too. Cool.
Yeah.
We go to exteriors and then we come back here.
We
So
do
this
left
is
to right, so I'm going past like this.
100%, and then we actually go 100%, and then we go with her movement too. So I think we all won't get a couple seconds wide. She enters, comes down here, and then depending on how we want to play this out, her blocking will be she comes here, she pulls out. There's this term in filmmaking which is block, light, shoot. And right now we're kind of currently figuring out our blocking. And while I love figuring out blocking with actors, it's almost just as beneficial to block it with your cinematographer to figure out what's the best angles for coverage. This was our first time in this space on the day, sort of navigating where the best areas to shoot were. And so not only are you trying to figure out what's going to tell the story, but what's going to look the most interesting. So we found this corner that had all these pipes. There was this random box, and this is truly where imagination comes into play, because none of this stuff was like production design. It's just all part of the home. And so we're sort of just like creative being like, yeah, there'd be like orange lights in here, and there'd be like this box that would be the central control center of the house. And it wasn't until we put the lights on in the space and saw what it looked like on camera that we actually, the imagination really started rolling.
Like last minute, like let's throw one in this corner, let's throw
Looks so cool.
I'm so glad you said that.
You can't have clean nails. I just want your nails like just look a little grubby. So even if it's just like running outside quick and just getting some dirt up those nails. And so you're trying to get it be as efficient as possible. So it's just a quick pull off. Do like that. You've done this a million times. Action. Vince.
Tail slate.
But maybe even our second go is when she lands on that, that's when the camera stops. So it's like we end when she ends. So once she gets to that machine, you
Let's
land
try
your
a
shot.
full movement one first and then go from there.
We knew once we had accomplished this scene, the film would be a lot easier. And this was just one of the hardest things to do because the whole movie weighed on this moment.
Sound speeding. Scene 26, shot one, take two.
Everybody's still.
As a director, when you're making a short film and you have a bit of a crew, you're gonna have a bunch of different voices talking to you. And in this moment, I had everyone talking to me. It was the wardrobe, making sure the actors look great. It was the cinematographer, making sure we were getting the right shots. It was the actors asking, how are we performing this really intense scene? And it was my producers being like, Zach, we're running out of time. And all of those voices all at once sort of becomes this orchestra of like overstimulation in really big moments. But I think that's a key skill that as a creative, when you work on a bigger set versus a smaller set, you're gonna have to be able to have, which is just being able to spread yourself in multiple areas and know that that spread of information is really gonna benefit the full project.
Scene 26, shot two, take two.
And between different scenes, so since we were on such a tight timeline, we're not only working on one scene, but while one scene is being shot, another scene is being prepped. So moving furniture, getting it set up. We had to do a full furniture move of our friend's home, which you're probably like, hey, what's the house you're shooting this in? It is Jackie's old high school friends and one of her best friends' homes. And I remember when we came into this home, we were like, this is the coolest house ever. We just went to hang out one day and I had to like resist pulling my phone out and capturing it the whole time. And in my head, I'm like, please be able to shoot in here. Please be able to shoot in here. And like 2 months later, we were filming in there. And that's all because of the incredible homeowners of the Bletchers. They were so kind enough to just leave us the home. They're like, hey, can you like dog sit while we're gone at a wedding? And also you can do whatever you want in the house as long as it's clean and you don't destroy it by the time we come back from this wedding. So hence why we made this movie.
Bring you back half an inch. Let's go and forward a bit. Let's land you there. Does that change our mark at all? We'll just kind of, yeah, not really.
No, you're good.
Let's give her a T mark. Give her a one for the toes. So yeah, Dave. Dave gets it. We'll break those up with trees.
Let's talk with Nick about this for framing.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, can we figure out where the blood splatter would be?
Yep.
Should it be?
A little to your right.
Oh, like over here?
Yeah, I would say there.
Because it's going to be in the shot, the mark?
The blood will be in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just for him for now.
Director's call.
Okay, let's go through these and we'll pick one.
Okay, would you like some news? That's good. I've always found it so incredible to have Neal on set. He's someone who I talk to more than I speak to my own mother. We just like talk every single day about movies and concepts and ideas.
Let me start this one.
All right, Zach, you're good to go. I'm good to go for what? And while I said earlier that having a writer on set might not be the most beneficial, I think having your creative collaborating partner on set with maybe just some limitations of how much control they have over the script while we're shooting is beneficial. So maybe we're a little bit wider, so she kind of enters through this, and then we catch up with this angle, so we kind of blend the two together, and she walks to that. Yeah. And Neal is by far my favorite person on set because this is both the child of our vision coming to life, and sort of both of us sort of having this full all-around idea of how the movie plays is amazing to bounce off of. While you have so many other collaborators on set who are really putting the best foot forward to fulfill that vision, certain people who've been there from the beginning are so helpful to sort of just make sure that you're sane amongst all these people who are contributing, because when you're shooting a film, it can be very overwhelming and your vision can kind of be like, and having those key people like I have Neal to sort of like funnel it is so helpful.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just got a little more shape in the face. Sure. So.
Scene 3, shot 1, take 1.
Parental controls are enabled. Call mom. She seems to be unavailable.
When you go to that, you should recognize that there is a bird. So when you say
Yeah.
that it's just a bird, drop your eyes down to, I don't know, either that little circular deal there. Action.
Perimeter sensor detected. Living area south. Please confirm.
Stop!
Please confirm.
It's just a bird. Call mom.
She seems to be unavailable.
One of the things that we quickly realized was how difficult it actually is to perform without actually having another actor to look at and bounce off of. So not only was Jackie facing the technical challenge of working in her first like big movie, but also acting with no one was a huge step. And AJ was an incredible help making sure that Jackie felt comfortable. And speaking as another performer, she was able to give her notes and tips and feedback in order to really accelerate the most efficient way on set.
Perimeter sensor.
Stop!
Please confirm.
It's just a bird.
Thanks. Shall I submit an incident report?
Call mom.
I love doing these things, and like seeing this scene really come together was probably one of the coolest because it has multiple shots and multiple angles. And as we were filming it, it was one of our first dialogue heavy scenes that we shot, as well as one of the most sort of camera shot intricacies. And seeing this sort of come together, I was starting to edit the movie in my head being like, oh wow, like we're actually sitting on something really cool.
And what if the pull away shot is the blood?
Cool, okay, cool.
Does that make sense to you? Like,
Yeah.
If
Or we
the
could
camera's
just-
pulling back and you see the blood.
Good call on that, by the way, Nick.
I was just looking at it.
I think like something to illustrate is like that language that you speak with every different crew member, because they're all going to take in different information. What you say to your actors might be different to what you're saying to your crew members, which is probably different to what you're saying to your producing partner or your writing partner. And you have to learn how to speak all these different languages when it comes to the director space. And for the actors, one of the things you're trying to communicate is what's their world like and what are they kind of going into when the scene starts playing? And how can you give them the most information so that they can operate okay? Because you're not going to be telling them like, this is going to be a cool push-in shot of your face and it's going to be like this nice slow-mo close-up. No, they're going to want to know like, what is this scene in conjunction with the other scenes? What's the vibe? What's the tone? And even though they may have rehearsed and they could be excellent actors, giving them the most information possible is very helpful.
And still rolling.
Still rolling, here we go.
Camera set.
I'm scared.
Mom?
We're getting Jackie all blooded up. This is a big spoiler for the movie. So if you guys don't want to watch this behind the scenes part because you're excited to see the film, I recommend pressing pause, skipping forward to another section, and not watching the making of scene 3, take 1.
All right, can I call it?
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds good.
And here, let me come to you. And
scene 28, shot 3, take 1, marker.
got it.
I remember when we filmed this scene, I was so stoked to see that this thing was coming to fruition. This like dream project and this ambitious scene was actually piecing together the way we had conceptualized
So
it.
really it's more of just like a track back one.
Oh, this is just the walking.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
don't
thought
think
it
there's
was
any dialogue.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, really? No, it is. She comes in, she says, Mom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Mom, there is a couple lines here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Carter Buckman doing this like ninja move with the microphone? You kidding me? I'll be honest, like watching stuff on a monitor, I'm always just like, oh, like being a director with a big monitor, it'd be like so fun and beneficial. But I also find it really hard because you're trying to focus on the monitor, but you're also trying to focus on the sound coming off screen. I didn't have audio to listen into, so I'm listening like from a corner. So anytime you watch a director without headphones on, realize that they're trying to hear audio from around the corner. It's actually really tough.
Just step her safely out and have the run, or we back it up.
And action.
Don't say that.
Since this scene had so many really important moments, we had to make sure that we were capturing everything. And one of the things that we actually got wrong for this scene was our eye line. I actually had to fix it in post-production, was fixing Jackie's eye line, because we were shooting these scenes without both actors being there, mostly because camera had to get in the way. And when you're shooting, you know, over the shoulder coverage, but it's not over the shoulder of someone, rather it's just like from their POV, they're not going to be in the scene, and therefore your actor is not going to have another actor to speak to and work with, and as a result, it actually was making it more complicated for performance. And so I would say if I were to do this again, I would try to make sure I could get both actors to make sure that our eye line was great and performance was great.
Almost spot me, I can run back. That'll require the least relight. Like a pan of this whole thing is like
Too much?
way too much. That's another wide.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
So then a lead or just even like just a tiny, you do a tiny move back
like
and
if
Bob runs
I'm
towards
if
camera.
I'm going back, can we have Jackie shoot up so you know she's still in the game?
In the background? Yeah.
rather
let's do
than
that.
like a whole chase.
It seems like we're like at each other's throats sort of deal, but I think one of the biggest things that I've learned when making a movie is don't take anything personally, especially when it comes to in the moment. And right during the scene, it was really tense because we're trying to like make sure we're getting everything we need for the most important scene in the movie. And in those moments, you can't be like, oh, don't hurt my feelings, because the most important thing above feelings is efficiency, and we were just trying to be efficient. Come on, Jackie.
I do love being on set. Every single time somebody comes by with a question, you're like, should I do this or this? And I'm like, oh, totally. Yeah, that's a question for the director.
Yeah, that's
I'll
okay.
get fired if I weigh in on this.
Nick brings up a really important section in here that I want to talk about is when it comes to crew, and especially when you're working on like a short indie project, there's going to be a lot of people who will sort of be asking kind of department heads for their opinions. And the worst thing that can happen when it comes to a project is when the lanes become blurred. So the lane of the cinematographer kind of starts becoming the editor, or the writer becomes maybe one of the actors, or, you know, everyone starts taking the director's role. And while that might seem like a really beautiful collaborative process where people are all just sort of contributing to tell the vision of the story, the reason why a director kind of exists on a project is not for ego or sort of status, while it can maybe get lost in that. The most important part for a director is to make sure that the overall vision is staying to sort of an emotional / story tone. And what I mean by that is, if everyone's sort of throwing in their own opinion, they're going to throw in their opinion which serves their department most. And that's not the most important thing. The most important thing to making a movie is, of course, the story. So when you have a cinematographer dictating the story's perspective, of course they're going to come from it at a cinematographer's perspective. If the writer comes in, they're going to come at it from what's the best written way. But what the director is trying to do, or one of the lead producers is trying to do, is tell the story that serves every department equally, so that it sort of becomes this full force product, not just the strength of one department, but the strength of all. And I think a good director or a good producer or a good creative lead on a project, that's what they're doing. And when one department head sort of becomes the voice of that, it's when it really starts getting mushy. So Nick explaining that in that section is important, because he's really making sure that there's one creative lead, not for ego, not for anything else, but for the benefit of the film.
I like the shot, so does it make more sense just to get 4 pairs of hands and clear off that shelf rather than...
Did you clear off the make good and shit?
Secure the hole! Secure the hole!
And this is where we migrated over to shooting it on a gimbal, yet again, mostly for that sort of swift camera move. And it just would have been impossible to do on the Amira. We started talking about, oh, how can we get the slider in, or how can we do it on a tripod? But if you notice by my footwork, there's a lot of movement. I'm tracking, I'm running down the hallway with these actors. And I think the key ingredient to this bit was my rainbow Crocs. They're just the best. If you're not working with rainbow Crocs, what are you doing?
Boom! Grab back up camera.
It's okay, Walter.
And
Yeah,
Dave,
he's
let's
here.
move it
He's afraid of
this
the
way.
large garbage can.
Just embracing each other after a long day. I remember being so stoked about filming this bit, because I knew if we would have accomplished this, the third day of filming would have been tremendously
then
easier.
You're gonna hop into frame and grab her, boom, and then you guys are gonna have some sort of struggle in this space, which then gets you into the pool.
Both of us?
Both of you.
The struggle was after I have her in the bear hug, is she basically gives me a groin shot, and then
So we had Justin Paul, our fucking epic stunt coordinator, who sat around all day literally for us to shoot this scene, and patiently waiting to do this, and he knocked it out of the park.
You and I repositioned. I was thinking of going in the pool with my underwater camera.
Okay.
We get them crashing into the water from that angle, and then you get it from another angle. So we just get the action of that happening. You can go from under the water, and we just see 2 bodies crashing in somehow. So we can do that the safest way possible.
As you can tell, Jackie's getting more nervous. I'm like, okay, so he's just gonna throw you into the pool, and you're just gonna like be drowning. And she's like, oh shit. Oh boy. We were also really rushed because we were losing light in this scene. You know, one of the biggest obstacles of making a film is actually sunlight. And especially when you don't have the budget to recreate sunlight, you're kind of at the mercy of that.
Action.
This stunt scene actually, for as complicated as it was as far as blocking goes, we really hammered it out, I think, in like 6 shots.
Go!
Wanted to shoot kind of a stunt scene unconventionally. I think the first initial thought is like camera movement, moving around a lot, really aggressive, really intense. And we're like, you know what, why don't if we let the actors kind of take the motion of this and played it out a lot more static? And I think in exchange, it really worked out well.
It's your call, totally. And with score and everything.
Yeah. I think, and Nick, we're gonna roll on this a little tighter, right? Do you want to just talk about coverage real quick, just to make sure we're dead and everything? Yeah. Tighter, right? Tighter. We need to show the pool in the space, so some sort of high of this stuff before they go into the pool. having other creative voices on set, you know, not making official decisions, but giving advice is incredibly helpful. So you saw Neal there, and I also have Vince, the production designer, even was hanging out. AJ is here. And when you start to get overloaded, it's really great to get these additional opinions in, because you start to be like, okay, like, yeah, maybe I wasn't thinking of the sequence correctly. And so I absolutely love having their voices in that space, especially like AJ, for example. She comes at it from an actor's angle. So she's really going to give it the most, I think, empathetic view for an actor of what they should do. And Neal now is coming in from a writer's perspective. So he's gonna like give context for story. And while sometimes this can be overwhelming, in this situation, it was actually really helpful.
And now they're like planning to do something, and you're probably, even those like 15 seconds you've thought in your head, they're doing something bad to this house, to me, to whatever. No, like what, you know, now you kind of, you do know kind of what's going on.
No! Okay, reset. You know, I'd say 50% of movie making is just miracles after miracles. This whole film was like 100% a miracle. And now I'm with my shirt off. You're like, whoa, that was fast. I was so quick to take my shirt off. I'm like, I was stoked to shoot this bit. We shot on 2 cameras, so Nick was operating up on the rooftop, getting this drowning sequence, and I was underwater capturing it, so we could get 2 angles, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And Nick was so stoked to get the shot. It's like this overhead looking down, frame within a frame.
But then once we're actually in the pool, just give me some out of focus stuff here.
Love it.
Let me have this shot.
Okay, I like it.
Let me have the shot.
I like
I
it.
would never get an opportunity to shoot from a roof and get another roof.
Fall in. You get that cool shot right there. I'm gonna let you take the reins of getting them blocked over there.
Will do.
I'll be in the water with them.
Get the underwater shot first.
And then with that struggle,
yeah,
Nick, I'll get that too. Like I guess I'll be in the water too.
Could that be our floating shot?
Yeah, that can be the floating shot.
Let's do that.
So Jackie ended up being too nervous to actually shoot this scene. So we got AJ to go in and do the stunt.
Shining. That's exactly what we wanted.
Okay, let's get our underwater shot and then let's get a float. But it's funny because Jackie was too afraid to do the fall in section, falling backwards, but A-okay to do the drowning part, which happened right after this. And it wasn't the warmest of summer days. Despite it like seeming like, oh, we're shooting on a nice summer day, I was freezing after this, and so were the 2 actors.
Does he kiss you like I used to?
So that was the making of this project. I hope giving sort of like a commentary perspective of making a short film was beneficial to you guys. By far one of the most fun movies I've ever done. I'm so excited for you to see the project. If you guys are interested in taking a glimpse at the film, I have a little teaser trailer, which there's a link to in the description below. And I hope this didn't ruin too much of the film. But if you like behind the scenes footage and making of stuff, let me know and I'll make more on this film, sort of the steps it took to do it. But overall, thank you so much for watching, listening, and learning. And I absolutely love you guys. If you like what this channel is making, you can hit subscribe below, help us get to 100,000 followers, which we're so close to. And yeah, I think that would be the biggest help. It'd be awesome.
So I'll just sit and wonder, darling, are you happy with him? Are you happy with him? I wanna know, darling, are you happy with him? Are you happy? Why don't you call me sometime and let me know, darling, are you happy with him?